Alright, boys and girls, today we're on lesson 8.7 on page 481, and we are looking at fractions of a group. And the essential question today, how can a fraction name part of a group? If you remember from previous lessons, a fraction can name part of a group because the numerator, like say 3/4, my numerator is 3, that's a top number. It actually names, like what we've worked with in the past, how many parts were shaded, so that it would name the part of the group. 3 out of 4 were shaded. Now today we're not necessarily looking at shaded parts, but we will be looking at fractions doing something similar. Looking at unlock the problem to start with, and we're looking at marbles here. It says Jake and Emma each have a collection of marbles. What fraction of each collection is blue? Okay, so we can use a fraction to name part of a group. We have Jake's marbles, and then we also have Emma's marbles on the other example. So let's look at Jake's. All right, the denominator, the bottom number, it tells us how many marbles there are. And in what we've done in the past, it would tell us how many parts each whole thing was divided into. Maybe we had 3 circles and each one was divided into 2 parts. Then our denominator in that example would be 2. Okay. Here, though, we have a collection of marbles. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 marbles. So our denominator is 8. Then the question is, what fraction are blue? So we need to count the blue marbles. There's 1, 2, 3. So 3 is our numerator. 3/8 of the marbles are blue. 8 because there are 8 total marbles. 3 goes on top because we have 3 blue marbles. 3/8. So down at the bottom here, 3 of Jake's marbles are blue. Of course, I wrote that in red. All right, let's look at Emma's marbles. Okay, now here, she also has 8 marbles, but she has them in a collection, in little groups, right? So she has a group here, a group here, a group here, and a group here. So she has 4 groups of marbles, or 4 bags of marbles. And what fraction of them, or how many of them, are blue? In this case, since we're counting bags of marbles, 1 bag, 2 bags, 3 bags, 4 bags, how many of those are blue? We have 1 bag of blue marbles. So 1/4 of them are blue. Okay, still 2 marbles, but we're counting the bags here. So 1 of Emma's marbles, 1 bag of Emma's marbles are blue. And I would put bag to make a little more sense. Okay, so we can either count all of them and just find a total number, or we can put them into little groups, and in this case Emma had hers in bags, and then we just count the groups. So we had 4, and 1 of them had the blue marbles. All right, try this, it says. It says draw 2 red counters, and I'm going to use my colors, but if you don't have to use colors, you could do it like this instead. You could have 2 red counters, and for yellow you could put Y. And I need 6 of those, right? Okay, so if you're just using a pencil, you could put Y, 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 and instead of red, you could just write R. So you have 2 red counters and 6 yellow counters. It says write the fraction of counters that are red. So we have to count the number that are red, and that's these 2 right here. We have 2 of those, so that's our numerator. And then we have to count the total number. Whoops, hang on, let me redo that. We need to count the total number of counters. That's 2 red and 6 yellow, so we have a total of 8. 2/8 of them are red. Remember, that denominator is going to count the total, not just like the yellows. Okay. Next question. write the fraction of counters that are not red. Okay, so we'll count those as well. And we have, that's these guys right here. We have 6 of those. So 6 of them are not red or yellow. And then the denominator, once again, is all of our counters. All of our counters is the denominator. And we have 8 of those. So 6/8 are not red. Down at the bottom, 2 of our counters are red and 6 are not red. Okay. Let's move on to the next page. Fractions greater than 1, and we worked with this in the previous lesson when we had 8/4, I believe, was one of the things we worked with. Again, that fraction bar can mean division, 8 divided by 4, or 8 divided into 4 groups, or 8 divided into groups of 4. I'm going to make groups of 4 because it's a little shorter. There's a group of 4, another group of 4, and now have 8. That equals 2. 8 divided by 4 equals 2, right? So that's a fraction greater than 1. Let's look at the example. Sometimes a fraction can name more than a whole group. Daniel collects baseballs. He's collected 8 so far. He puts them in cases that hold 4 baseballs each. What part of the baseball cases has Daniel filled? And it says think 1 case equals 1. So in this case, we're not thinking about all the baseballs necessarily. We're thinking about groups of baseballs or cases of baseballs. Daniel has 2 full cases. There are 4 baseballs in each case. So 2 or 8/4 of the cases are filled. And that's an example I just kind of wrote in a mess up here. Let's look at that again. We have 2 cases. There's 1 case, 2 case. So we have 2 cases. All right. And then if we look at that as a fraction, we could also count baseballs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 baseballs. And how many are in each case? We have 4. 4 in each case, right? So 8/4 is the same as 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Try this. Complete the whole number and the fraction greater than 1 to name the part filled. So how many, what the heck are those, muffins? I'm not sure what those are. Let's call them muffins, maybe. But how many of them do we have? We have 1 pan, 2 pan, 3 pans. We have 3 pans of muffins. Okay, we count the groups. 3 groups or 3 pans of muffins. And then each pan is divided into 6 equal parts. So that's why our denominator is a 6. We look at one of them and figure out how many each one's divided into, in this case 6. And then our numerator is going to be the total that we can count. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We have a total of 18 awful looking muffins. So 18 is my numerator. Again, that's the total number of things, right? And then 6 is the denominator because there are 6 in each pan. So 3 or 18/6. And I'll erase some of this here. Remember, this fraction bar means division. It can really mean 18 divided by 6, and it should equal 3. If I have a group of 6, a group of 6, and a group of 6, add those all up, and I get 18. So 18 divided by 6 equals 3. Let's look at this one. We have a box of pencils. How many boxes do I have? Well, that's easy. I have 1 box, 2 boxes, right? So 2 boxes. Okay. How many pencils are in each box? Well, that one's a little trickier, but we can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 pencils in each box. That's why the denominator is 8. And then we just have to count them all. We have 8 here, and we have 8 here. That equals 16. So our top number is 16. And again, 16 divided by 8 equals 2. Okay, remember that fraction bar means division, right? 16 divided by 8 equals 2. So 2 boxes, or 16/8. All right, let's share and show these first three. I'm going to have you, the video will keep playing. I'll do them as well, but do the first three on your own, and then checking your work today, just use it to check with the video. And if you get anything wrong, please fix it, but also try to understand why you made the mistake and then the correct strategy, or why the answer is correct, okay? That's the key part, really, not just getting the right answer, but knowing why it's right. So go ahead and pause the video, do the first three. After you've done those first three on Share and Show, resume the video and check your work. Good luck, everybody. All right, boys and girls, I assume now you've done the first three and you're checking your work. The first one says, what fraction of the counters are red? Okay, so we have a fraction. You need to count how many are red. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are red. So that's my top number. The bottom number will be the total number of counters. So I knew I had 5 of those, and I have 3 that are not red. So that's 5 plus 3 is 8. And that'll be my denominator. So 5/8 are red. 5 out of the 8 are red. If you made a mistake, pause the video and fix your fraction. Also try to understand why 5/8 is right and why your answer was not right. Number 2, write a fraction to name the red part of each group. Oh, that's probably for 3 as well, but let's do 2 first. So the red part, we have 2 that are red, and we have 1, 2 that are not red. So we have a total of 4 overall. So my fraction is 2/4. And on number 3, now here, this one gets a little trickier. This is like our example. No, I'm making a giant mess now. These are like our example here, and at the very, very top, where we were counting groups, not just individual balloons. So if you counted individual balloons, that's not the strategy for this one. This one, again, we're still trying to count how many are red, and in this case, we have one group that is red, and then we have a total of 1, 2, 3 groups. 1/3 is your fraction. If you counted the 2 red balloons, 1, 2, and then counted all the parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I wrote 2/6, that's equivalent to 1/3, meaning they're pretty much equal. However, in this case, we were looking to count the groups, 1 group, 2 group, 3 groups, and only one of them is red. So 1/3 should be your answer, not 2/6. All right, boys and girls, that's all I have for you today. Do your best on the assignment. If you have questions, refer back to the video, ask a neighbor, ask a teacher, but don't just work through and guess, right? Do your best, persevere, show integrity. As always, this is Mr. P.